How does a woman who's supposed to die on a toxic wasteland hillside end up surviving, walking over that hill and discovering that there are dozens of other underground bunkers just like hers, stretching across a destroyed landscape as far as the eye can see? Yeah, that's Silo for you. This Apple TV Plus series is one of the most gripping, paranoia-fueled sci-fi shows that come out in recent years. And trust me when I say, once you start peeling back the layers of this thing, it just keeps going deeper. Literally, because the entire show takes place inside of a 144-level underground structure called a silo, where over 10,000 people live, work, and die without ever knowing what's really going on above them, or who put them there in the first place. Based on Hugh Howey's best-selling book trilogy, Silo is a mystery wrapped inside of a conspiracy shoved inside a giant concrete tube buried underground. We're talking hidden cameras, population control, mind-altering drugs in the water supply, secret rebellions, and a government that will straight up murder you if you ask too many questions. Fun times, right? And we're about to break down the entire story across both seasons, so buckle up. This is going to be a long one. If you enjoy this, smash that like button, subscribe, and let's get freaking started. We open up on a man named Holston Becker pinning his sheriff's badge onto his shirt and stepping out into the massive underground structure that is the silo. Right away, we can see this place is enormous. There's a giant spiral staircase connecting all 144 levels, and there are people everywhere going about their daily lives. Porters are running up and down the stairs with baskets on their backs. There are little marketplaces, workstations, the whole deal. It feels like a living, breathing underground city, which it is. But here's the thing. Nobody knows why they're down there. Nobody knows who built the silo. Nobody knows what happened to the outside world. And nobody knows when, if ever, it'll be safe to go back up. What they do know is that going outside right now equals death, period. There's a big display screen in the cafeteria that shows a live feed of the outside world. And it looks awful, just a gray, desolate, toxic wasteland with dead trees and ruined earth. And every now and then someone gets sent out there to clean the camera sensors. It's basically a death sentence, because whomever goes out to clean always ends up wiping the sensor and then collapsing and dying on that hillside. Now we jump back a bit in time. About 3 years before Holston is standing in the silo looking like a broken man, he's actually living a pretty decent life. He's the sheriff, he's got a wife named Allison, and the two of them are trying to have a baby. See, in the silo, you can't just have kids whenever you want. There's a lottery system. You apply for a birth permit, and if your name gets picked, you get 1 year to conceive. Allison and Holston win the lottery, so they've got 12 months to make it happen. But while they're trying for a baby, Allison, who works in the IT department as a data recovery specialist, stumbles onto something she was never supposed to find. A co-worker named George Wilkins brings her an old hard drive, a relic from before the silo's history was erased. Now, some context here. About 140 years before the events of the show, there was a rebellion inside the silo. The rebels lost, and in the aftermath, all the books were burned and all the computer hard drives were destroyed. Or at least, that's what everyone was told. Turns out not every hard drive got the bonfire treatment. George and Allison crack open this relic drive together while everyone else is upstairs celebrating Freedom Day, which is basically the silo's annual holiday commemorating the end of the rebellion. Ironic timing, huh? And what they find on that hard drive is absolutely wild. There are blueprints and schematics of the silo itself, and there's video footage showing the outside world with blue skies, green grass, and birds flying around. Wait, what? Yeah, the outside doesn't look toxic and dead in this footage. It looks beautiful. So either the display in the cafeteria is lying, or this footage is fake. Either way, something is very, very wrong. Allison starts spiraling. She digs deeper, meeting with a woman named Gloria Hildebrandt, who works as the silo's fertility counselor. Allison also discovers something horrifying on a personal level. She was told her birth control implant was removed so she could get pregnant. But after some painful investigating, including cutting herself open with a knife, she finds the implant still inside her body. They never took it out. They were never going to let her have children. Allison is devastated and furious. She marches into the cafeteria, makes a huge public scene, and tells everyone the silo is lying to them. And then she says the words that seal her fate. I want to go out. In the silo, saying you want to go out is essentially a crime. It's called requesting to clean, and once you say it, there's no taking it back. You go out, you clean the sensor, and you die. That's how it works. Allison gets suited up and sent through the airlock. She steps outside, walks up to the camera sensor, and cleans it. Then she starts walking away from the silo, up the hill, and she collapses near a dead tree. She's gone. But here's where things get really interesting. From Allison's perspective, through her helmet visor, the outside looked green and beautiful. From the perspective of everyone watching on the cafeteria display inside the silo, it's the same old gray wasteland. And Allison just died on a poisoned hillside. So which version is real? Hold that thought, because it's going to take a while before we get the answer. We jump forward 2 years. Holston's world has completely fallen apart. His wife is dead, he's a broken man, and on top of all of that, George Wilkins, that IT guy who brought Allison the hard drive, has shown up dead. Supposedly a suicide. He fell off a railing down in the lower levels. But there's an engineer down in mechanical who doesn't buy it for a second. Her name is Juliet Nichols, and she's been in contact with Holston about George's death, convinced it was murder. Holston does some digging and eventually he hits a wall. He can't find the truth, and without Allison, he doesn't really want to keep going. So Holston makes a decision. He walks into Holding 3, locks the door, and tells his deputy, Sam Marnes, that he wants to go outside. Yeah, the sheriff just asked to go out and clean. Before he goes, Holston does two final things. He carves one word into the back of his sheriff's badge, truth, a message for Juliet, the woman who's been pushing him to investigate George's death. And then he names his replacement. The new sheriff will be Juliet Nichols, the engineer from the bottom of the silo who's been hounding him about George's murder. Nobody saw that coming. Holston gets suited up and sent outside. And through his visor, he sees the same thing Allison saw. Blue skies, green grass, flowers, the whole deal. They see Holston clean the sensor, walk up the hill, stumble, and collapse. He's dead. So what the hell is going on? Is the display inside the silo lying? Or is the visor lying? Somebody is being deceived here, and right now nobody alive in the silo knows which version is real. Back in the silo, we get a deeper look at who George Wilkins was and why his death matters so much to Juliet. George was a computer guy who ran a repair shop, and he was also a secret relic dealer. Relics are items from the old world, from before the silo. Possessing them is illegal. Books, old photographs, technology from before the rebellion, all of it is banned. But George had been secretly collecting and trading them. George and Juliet were in a relationship, and George was obsessed with uncovering the silo's secrets. He had this theory that there was something hidden deep in the lower levels, some kind of door or passage that the founders of the silo left behind. He dragged Juliet into his investigation, taking her to the hidden cavern beneath the mechanical level where a massive digging machine sits abandoned. This was the machine that was used to dig the silo in the first place. It's enormous, and it was just left down there because there was no way to get it out. George also showed Juliet relics from his collection, including documents and notes that suggested the silo has way more secrets than anyone realizes. Juliet was fascinated but cautious. She's an engineer, practical and grounded. George was a dreamer, convinced there's a truth worth finding even if it kills him. And then it killed him. His body was found at the bottom of a stairwell, ruled as suicide. He supposedly threw himself over the railing. Juliet doesn't believe it for 1 second. She knows George was onto something big. He'd been talking about a hidden door, a massive metal door about 15 feet high, hidden somewhere deep in the flooded bottom of the silo. And now he's dead. Something isn't right. Now that Holston is gone, the silo needs a new sheriff. And Holston already named his pick, Juliet Nichols, the grease-covered engineer from the literal bottom of the silo. Nobody in the upper levels is happy about it. Bernard Holland, the head of IT and one of the most powerful people in the silo, thinks she's a terrible choice. He calls her a thief, referencing an incident from before the show, where Juliet swipes some heat tape that belonged to IT. Quick note on Bernard. Tim Robbins plays this guy, and he is incredible. Bernard is the kind of leader who smiles at you while plotting your disappearance. He speaks softly, follows the rules to the letter, and genuinely believes he's doing the right thing. He's terrifying. Robert Sims, played by Common, is the head of security for Judicial, and he has his own candidate in mind. Judge Meadows, the head of Judicial, suggests a former judicial administrator who has a secret medical condition called the syndrome that gives him tremors. Keep an eye on Billings. He's going to become very important. But it's not up to Bernard or Sims. It's up to Mayor Ruth Jans and Deputy Sam Marnes, and they decided to honor Holston's dying wish. Mayor Jans and Deputy Marnes prepare to make the long trek down the 144 levels of the silo to find Juliet and officially offer her the job. Remember, there are no elevators in this place, no escalators. You want to go from top to bottom, you walk, and that walk takes days. Meanwhile, back at IT, Bernard is clearly nervous about something. He's got a little key fob device with the number 18 on it, and when trouble is brewing, this thing glows and pulses red. It's not yet clear what this device does, but Bernard treats it like a ticking time bomb. Whatever it's connected to, it's above his pay grade, and that alone should tell you how deep this conspiracy goes. Juliet is still grieving George and diving into her work at Mechanical. She's the only engineer capable of keeping the silo's main generator running, and that generator is the heart of the entire operation. Without it, no power, no lights, no life support, nothing. The entire underground city depends on this one machine, and it's falling apart. Juliet holds it together with sheer willpower. She also has a surrogate mother figure down in the depths named Martha Walker, or just Walk. Walk is an electrical engineer who runs a little workshop and hasn't left the lower levels in 25 years because she's got severe agoraphobia. But she's smart as hell and loves Juliet like her own daughter. Remember Walk. She's gonna do something absolutely clutch later on. We also get a clear picture of the silo's social structure. The upper levels are where IT and judicial operate, basically the brains and the muscle of the silo's power structure. The mids are where most regular folks live and work, and way down at the bottom you've got mechanical, where Juliet and her crew keep the lights on. These people are basically the working class of the silo, and they're treated like it. There's real class tension between the upper and lower levels, and it's gonna boil over eventually. So Mayor Jans and Deputy Marnes begin their journey down to the bottom of the silo to meet Juliet. And the trip itself is an event. Along the way, they stop at different levels, talk to people, gather intel on this woman Holston picked. They stop by Bernard's office, who warns them she's a bad choice. They visit Juliet's father, Dr. Pete Nichols, an obstetrician who admits he hasn't spoken to his daughter in years. She left home at 13 to go work in mechanical, and their relationship has been broken ever since. During the journey, Mayor Jans drinks from Deputy Marnes' water bottle because hers has a slow leak. Seems like a small detail. It isn't. Down at the bottom of the silo, Juliet is a mess. She's tried to follow George's clues by diving into the flooded depths below mechanical, looking for that metal door he kept talking about. But she panicked, hauled herself back up, and spent the rest of the night drinking herself stupid. When her friend Shirley finds her the next morning, Juliet is hours late for work, hungover and covered in vomit. Not exactly sheriff material. While she was out cold, her young apprentice Cooper tried to step up and tinker with the generator on his own. When Juliet finally stumbles into work and finds him messing with her machine, she punches him right in the face. Yeah, great mentor. Her boss Knox chews her out, but they both know the real problem isn't Cooper, it's the generator itself. The thing is dying. The rotor blades are cracked and bent, and every fix they've done so far is just delaying the inevitable catastrophic failure. If this generator goes down for good, the entire silo loses power, lights, ventilation, water pumps, everything. 10,000 people sitting in the dark. Meanwhile, Mayor Jans and Deputy Marnes have finally made it down to the lower levels after their multi-day trek. The mayor witnesses Juliet in action, barking orders, taking charge of the generator crisis, and she's impressed. She formally offers Juliet the sheriff position. Juliet turns it down flat. She's not a cop, she's an engineer. And this generator is more important than any badge. The mayor respects her decision, and hands over Holston's old badge anyway, saying it belongs to her regardless. Juliet flips the badge over, and there it is. One word scratched into the back. Truth. That changes everything. Holston told Juliet he'd send her a sign when he found answers. This is that sign. He found something out there, and he wanted her to keep digging. Juliet chases down the mayor and accepts the job on one condition. She needs 8 hours to fix the generator first. What follows is one of the most intense sequences in the whole show. The entire silo goes dark as the generator is powered down for emergency repairs. Everyone is told to stay indoors. Down in the generator room, it's chaos. Juliet and her team rip open the panels and find the broken blade. They have a 30-minute window to fix it before the whole system overheats and explodes. Pipe starts bursting, water floods the chamber, and Juliet is literally drowning while trying to hammer a cracked blade back into place. Cooper, the same kid she punched in the face hours ago, is right there helping her. They get the blade refitted and the generator restarted with seconds to spare. The team erupts in celebration. The lights come back on across the silo.
During the blackout, while everyone was sitting in the dark, something else happened. The mayor and Marnes, alone together, shared a kiss. These two old friends have been dancing around their feelings for years, and in that moment of darkness, they finally let their guard down. They talk about retiring, spending the rest of their days together. It's sweet. It's hopeful. It won't last.
Juliet says her goodbye to Martha Walker, her surrogate mother down in the depths, and starts the long climb up to her new life as sheriff. Bernard confronts the mayor one more time, making it clear he's not happy about this decision. The tension between Bernard and Juliet is set in stone from this moment, and then the mayor signs the paperwork officially instating Juliet as the new sheriff. Marnes grabs some drinks to celebrate, and that's when he finds her on the floor. Mayor Jans is convulsing, bleeding from the mouth. She's been poisoned. Remember that water bottle? The one Jans kept drinking from because her own bottle had a leak? It was Marnes' bottle. Somebody poisoned it, and Marnes is convinced he was the real target. Someone wanted the deputy dead, and Jans just happened to drink from the wrong bottle. She's gone. The mayor of the silo is dead, and somebody in the underground city is a murderer. Juliet is barely into her new job, and she's already standing over a crime scene. Bernard, Sims, and Marnes are all there. Marnes is absolutely devastated. The woman he just kissed hours ago is lying dead in front of him. Bernard takes over as interim mayor, which puts one of the most powerful and secretive men in the silo in charge of everything. Great. Bernard officially instates Juliet as sheriff, though he makes it clear she wasn't his choice. He'll tolerate her, but that's about it. Juliet gets Holston's old office and apartment. Sandy, Holston's old assistant, takes an instant dislike to her. Nobody up here wants the grease monkey from Mechanical playing cop. Through flashbacks, we learn more about why Juliet is the way she is. Her brother Jacob was born with a hole in his heart.
He was always sick, always needing oxygen, always one bad episode away from the end. Their mother, Hannah, was a surgeon, and she desperately tried to build a magnifying device that could be used to repair the condition. But here's the problem. The Pact, the silo's set of governing rules, bans the creation of devices that magnify beyond a certain power. The technology Hannah needed to save her son was literally illegal. Jacob died, and not long after, Hannah died too. Suicide. Juliet was told it was because of grief, but there's more to it than that, and she'll find out the full truth later. Her father, Dr. Pete Nichols, completely shut down after losing his wife and son. He buried himself in work and basically stopped parenting. Juliet was left to fend for herself, cooking her own meals, fixing broken furniture around the apartment. She discovered she had a real talent for fixing things, and at just 13 years old, she forged a transfer letter and showed up at Martha Walker's workshop in the lower levels, begging to be taken on as an apprentice. Martha saw through the fake letter immediately, but recognized something in this girl. The same grief, the same need to keep her hands busy so her mind wouldn't eat her alive. She let her stay. Knox put her to work, and Juliet never went back upstairs. That's how a doctor's daughter became the best mechanic in the silo. Back in the present, Juliet starts setting into Holston's old apartment and makes a discovery. There's a vent in the wall, and inside it she finds hidden documents. George Wilkins's file, the one she's been looking for. Holston had found it and stashed it before he left, tightening the bolt on the vent so nobody else would find it. But the hard drive, the one with the blueprints and the video footage, that's still missing. Juliet and Marnes agree to work together. She'll chase George's murder, he'll chase the mayor's killer. They're both hunting for answers in a place that really doesn't want them asking questions. But that night, while Marnes is alone in his apartment, someone breaks in. Marnes is found dead the next morning. 3 murders now: George Wilkins, Mayor Jans, Deputy Marnes, and they're all connected. Somebody is systemically eliminating anyone who gets too close to the truth, or anyone who's trying to protect Juliet. With Marnes gone, Sim wastes no time installing his own man. Paul Billings becomes the new chief deputy. Billings is a former judicial administrator and a former deputy. Technically competent, but clearly placed there to be Sim's eyes and ears on Juliet. He's also hiding that medical condition, the syndrome, which gives him tremors he can barely control. If anyone found out he lied about his health to get his position, he could be sent to clean. He could end up being Juliet's enemy or ally, depending on which way the wind blows. Bernard wants to keep Marnes' death quiet to avoid panic. The silo is already on edge after losing a sheriff and a mayor in quick succession. If people found out the deputy was murdered too, the whole place could spiral. They come up with a cover story, burying Jans and Marnes together as lovers in a ceremony complete with the silo's funeral tradition. Each mourner bites into an apple and tosses the rest into the grave. It's a haunting, beautiful ritual, and it gives the people a love story to mourn instead of a conspiracy to fear. Smart move. Ruthless, but smart. Juliet gets to work immediately. In Marnes' pocket, she finds a list of names, people he suspected were involved in the murders. One name is circled, Doris Kennedy. She tracks down Doris's widower, Patrick Kennedy, and breaks into his old apartment. Inside, she finds the missing drawing of Mayor Jans that was stolen from Marnes' apartment, along with a stash of rat poison. Evidence, clear as day. Patrick is the killer, except he isn't. Juliet catches the key detail that everyone else missed. Patrick doesn't live at this address anymore. He moved to a different apartment. Whoever planted this evidence didn't know that, which means it was a sloppy setup by someone who doesn't actually know Patrick. This isn't evidence, it's a frame job, and a bad one. Somebody with access to judicial resources, but not enough local knowledge to pull it off clean. The answer is Doug Trumbull, a judicial enforcer who works directly for Sims. Juliet spots Doug lurking outside Patrick's address, clearly waiting to arrest the poor guy for a crime he didn't commit. She confronts him about the planted evidence. Doug's face goes pale. He knows he's been caught, and he runs. What follows is a chase through the silo's massive central staircase, and the timing couldn't be worse, or better, depending on how you look at it. Bernard has organized a big public foot race up the stairwell as a distraction for the citizens, so the stairs are packed with runners. Doug weaves through the crowd heading up while Juliet barrels down after him. It's chaotic. People crashing into each other, runners stumbling, the whole thing turning into madness. Doug manages to double back, get behind Juliet, and shoves her over the railing. Juliet is dangling from the stairwell, looking down at a drop that would absolutely kill her. Her hands are slipping, but the crowd spots her, and a group of citizens grabs her arms and hauls her back to safety. Doug has disappeared into the chaos. Here's where it gets really dark. Sim knows Doug failed on every level. He didn't successfully frame Patrick, he didn't kill Juliet, and his sloppy work with planting evidence in the wrong apartment exposed the whole operation. Doug is a liability, a massive loose end. So Sims takes him to a quiet spot at night, has a calm conversation with him about his own father, and about how his dad was a janitor in the silo, but also had another role, a secret, more important calling, that they need to uphold. It's a weird philosophical moment. And then Sims pushes Doug over the railing to his death, just like that. No hesitation. The killer has been killed by the man who ordered the kills in the first place. With Doug dead, the case is officially closed. The story goes that Doug killed Marnes and George. Case solved. Everyone move along. Judge Meadows signs off on it, but Juliet isn't stupid. She knows Doug was just the weapon. The man pulling the trigger is Robert Sims, and he's still walking around the silo like nothing happened. Where Sims just revealed something important during that conversation with Doug. He called what his father did the most important job in the silo, and it wasn't janitorial work. There's a hidden layer in this place that even the sheriff doesn't have access to. Something operating in the shadows behind walls, watching everyone. One more thing, the Pact. The silo's constitution has a rule that nobody talks about. Devices that magnify beyond a certain power are banned. Technology more advanced than what the silo currently has is illegal to possess. They call these items relics and they're contraband. But the technology that exists on the relic hard drive, the one George found, is way more advanced than anything the silo is today, which raises an obvious question. If the founders had this technology, why did they take it away? What are they trying to stop people from seeing? Bernard, oddly enough, seems impressed with Juliet's work. He asks her if there's anything she needs, and she requests 2 days off to go back to mechanical and pack up her things. It's a simple request, but really Juliet wants to go see Martha Walker and regroup. Down in the depths, Martha has been busy. She's been fixing an old camcorder, a relic from before the rebellion that belonged to George, that Juliet had found in the depths. This thing is massively illegal. If Judicial found it, Martha would be in serious trouble, but she's doing it anyway because she loves Juliet. And if this camcorder contains anything useful, anything that might help explain why people keep dying, it's worth the risk. Martha is terrified though. The mayor is dead, Marnes is dead, George is dead. The only person connected to all these deaths is Juliet. And Martha is convinced that Juliet is next on the list. There's also a new face worth mentioning. Somewhere during all of this, Juliet crosses paths with a guy named Lucas Kyle. He works in IT as a system analyst, but he's a bit of an oddball. He likes to sit in the cafeteria and draw the stars that he can see through the sensor display. Lucas is curious about the outside world, which in this place makes him dangerous. He and Juliet share a quiet moment, and there's a spark there, but Juliet isn't exactly in the place for romance. She's too busy trying not to get murdered, and still grieving for George.
But she can't stop, not now. George died trying to uncover the truth about this place, and the word scratched onto that badge is still burning in her mind. Truth! She's not walking away from it, even if it kills her.
And somewhere, behind a door marked janitorial, Bernard Holland is watching. He's always watching.
Juliet isn't done investigating. She breaks into Doug Trumbull's apartment with Billings and Deputy Cairns. The power's been cut, the place is dark, and the custodian's keys don't even work. Juliet kicks in the door. While searching the rooms, Billings finds something in the bathroom, a relic. It's a small plastic toy, a Pez dispenser shaped like a duck. Doesn't seem like much, but in the silo, owning something like this is a crime, and Juliet recognizes it immediately. It belonged to George. Here's the thing though, Juliet planted it there. She took the Pez dispenser from George's old collection and stashed it in Trumbull's apartment to create a legal link between Trumbull's and George's case. She needs an excuse to reopen George's murder investigation, and this relic is her way in through the Pact's own rules. It's Forgiveness Day in the silo, a holiday where people are encouraged to turn over illegal items without punishment. Perfect timing. Juliet marches into Judicial and asks Judge Meadows for permission to conduct a broader relic investigation. Meadows is sick and barely interested, but Sims, surprisingly, agrees to it. There's a catch though. Billings has to accompany Juliet everywhere she goes. Every letter, every interview. Sims wants eyes on her at all times, and Billings is those eyes. Juliet and Billings track down Patrick Kennedy, the relic dealer from before. Patrick is paranoid as hell, convinced he's going to jail no matter what he says. After some pressure, including Billings threatening to move into the empty space outside his apartment, Patrick gives up one name, Regina Jackson. Regina is a nervous wreck. The second she sees the watch on Juliet's wrist, she knows who Juliet is. The watch belonged to George. He gave it to Juliet. And before that, George got the watch from Regina herself. See, Regina was George's supplier. He had her buying relics for his collection because her large family made the purchases less suspicious. But Judicial caught on. Not through normal channels, through something much worse. Regina describes what happened to her, and it's one of the creepiest moments in the show. A man used to break into her apartment at night. He'd unplug the lamp so she couldn't see his face, and he'd sit at the foot of her bed in total darkness. Then he'd make her tell him everything. Every relic dealer she knew, every person she'd talked to that day, he would recite the names of everyone she'd spoken to, proving he already knew. If she refused to answer one question, he'd threaten 2 people she loved, her friends, her family. Her mother was doing time in the mines, and for every name Regina gave up, her mother got another day of freedom. So she talked. She gave up every name she knew, including George's. She even tried putting up soundproofing in her apartment, but she has no idea if it works. The man might still hear every word. George is dead because Regina gave his name to a man in the dark, and she knows it. She's been living with that guilt ever since.
But George wasn't just taking from Regina, he gave her something in return, something incredibly rare, a children's travel guide booklet called Amazing Adventures in Georgia. Inside are photographs of forests, animals, sunsets, real photographs of the real world. This thing was passed down through generations over 100 years, hidden and protected by people who believed the truth about the outside world was worth preserving. George got it from his Aunt Gloria, who got it from George's mother Anne. It was the most treasured possession in a chain of people who refused to let the past be erased. Regina kept it hidden inside her doormat. Judicials tossed her place multiple times but never thought to check under the mat. They literally stepped over it every time. Juliet takes the booklet back to her apartment and opens it. Real photographs of the real world, green, alive, beautiful. And while she's sitting there staring at these images, the show reveals something that makes your stomach drop. We see a room full of screens somewhere in the silo. Two men are sitting there watching feeds from cameras hidden throughout the entire structure. They can see Juliet right now in her apartment, looking at the booklet. The silo isn't just a shelter, it's a fishbowl, and somebody has been watching everyone from every angle this entire time. Meanwhile, Billings figured out that Juliet planted the Pez dispenser in Trumbull's apartment. He confronts her about it, furious that she used him, but Juliet fires back. She's noticed his shaking hands. She knows he has the syndrome, and she knows he's been hiding it. Under the pact, that's illegal. Billings should have declared his condition, so now they both have dirt on each other, and instead of blowing each other up, they reach a tense understanding. There's one more thing happening during all of this. Juliet has been running into Lucas Kyle, the IT guy who likes to draw stars from the cafeteria display. They share a few quiet moments together, and it's clear Lucas is developing feelings for her. He's awkward, honest, and completely out of his depth with women. He admits he came to the cafeteria not for the stars, but to see her. Juliet laughs at him, but she also smiles. And in the silo, a smile is a rare thing. Juliet tracks down Gloria Hildebrandt, the fertility counselor who spoke with Allison Becker before she went out to clean. Gloria is in the medical ward, suffering from advanced dementia. She's being kept there under Judge Meadows' orders, and she's being medicated into a fog. But even through the haze, Gloria recognizes things. She recognizes names, and when Juliet shows her the children's booklet, Gloria's eyes light up. Gloria tells Juliet about the Flamekeepers. After the rebellion 140 years ago, when the books were burned and the hard drives destroyed, a small group of people refused to let the past die. They collected relics, preserved memories, and passed them down through generations. The silo's leadership tried to erase them. They put something in the water supply to make people's memories fade over time, and they made sure the Flamekeepers couldn't have children. The same birth control trick. Doctors would tell them the implant had been removed, but it was still there. The goal was simple: breed the Flamekeepers out of existence. Gloria was one of them. She had a husband named Henry who desperately wanted children, but the silo made sure she could never have them. When Gloria figured out the deception after failing her second fertility lottery, she couldn't bring herself to tell Henry the truth. She pushed him away instead. Let him think she didn't want him anymore. Eventually he moved on, had children with someone else. Gloria ran into him once, years later, with his kids. He pretended not to know her. That's what the silo took from her. George's mother, Anne, was a Flamekeeper too, and Juliet's mother, Hannah, shared the same curiosity, the same dangerous desire to know the truth. Anne had even helped Hannah with something, a magnifying device. The Flamekeepers weren't a formal organization with meetings and badges. They were just people who refused to forget, and one by one the silo picked them off. Gloria also reveals something critical about the surveillance. She whispers to Juliet that there are cameras hidden behind the mirror in her room, small devices like the sensors outside watching everything. Holston knew about this. He visited Gloria before he went to clean, put flowers in front of the mirror to block the camera's view, and hid something in the air vent, a bag. Juliet checks the vent and pulls out what Holston left behind. This is what she's been looking for, the connection between Holston's investigation and George's murder. But Sims is watching. He doesn't have video in Gloria's room anymore thanks to Holston's trick, but he has audio, and he hears enough. He sends his raiders after Juliet immediately. Gloria grabs Juliet's hand before she runs. "You're the last Flamekeeper now," she says. Juliet doesn't want it, didn't ask for it, but Gloria is right. Everyone else is dead or drugged into forgetting. If Juliet stops, the truth dies with her. Through flashbacks, we finally learn the full story of Juliet's mother. Hannah was a surgeon who built the silo's first magnifying device. She wanted to use it to see inside the hearts of babies born with defects, the same condition that killed her son, Jacob. She brought young Juliet along to help test it. They got a sick rabbit from a farmer, brought it to a secret workspace, and Hannah showed her daughter what the device could do. "My darling Bean," she called her. "This is a magnifier. It's the first one in the silo. It makes tiny things appear big." She let Juliet watch as the rabbit's heartbeat filled the screen. If this technology worked on humans, they could fix the holes in babies' hearts. No more dead children. No more families torn apart the way theirs was. But building a magnifying device violates the pact, and Judicial found out. They raided the Nichols family home, tore the place apart, and made Hannah hand over everything: the magnifier, the glass, and the metal components. Even the rabbit. When Hannah refused at first, they threatened to arrest the farmer who supplied the animal. They crushed everything she'd built right in front of her. Pete Nichols, Juliet's father, stood there and let it happen. He didn't fight them. He didn't resist. He bowed to their will because he was terrified of what would happen if he didn't. Hannah believed that Pete had reported her to Judicial. So did Juliet for years. It's the reason she left home at 13, the reason she stopped talking to her father. But Pete swears he didn't. There are f***ing whisperers everywhere, he tells her, and for once, he's not being defensive. He's telling the truth. People who report to the silo's hidden surveillance network are embedded on every level. Pete didn't turn Hannah in, the walls did. After the magnifier was destroyed, Hannah's spirit broke. Pete tried to bring her back, but she wouldn't listen. He gave up, and then she killed herself. Pete had carried that guilt ever since. He tells Juliet that her mother's grief turned outward, pushing her towards dangerous things, while his own grief turned inward, drawing him into work and away from the people who needed him. He failed Hannah. He failed Juliet. He knows it, and sitting across from her now, watching her walk the exact same path her mother walked. He's terrified he's about to lose his daughter the same way. "You're like your mom in so many ways, Jules," he says, and for the first time in the show, they actually understand each other. In the present, things are spiraling fast. Judicial raids Juliet's office, tearing through everything, flipping furniture, pulling up floor panels, looking for the hard drive. They don't find it, but the search itself is a violation. Billings is livid. He knows the search skipped about 10 steps of proper protocol. There was no initial notice, no request for evidence, nothing, and this is where all those pack knowledge competitions pay off. Billings won the pack competition 4 times, more than anyone in the silo's history. He starts rattling off section numbers and subsection paragraphs like a human legal database. Juliet marches straight into Sim's office, finds him yelling at his own agent for not bringing back the hard drive, and arrests him for a legal search and seizure. She cuffs him in front of his own people. Sim's face is priceless. His own agents stand there, stunned. It's incredibly satisfying. Sims warns her she'll regret it, and he's right, but not for the reason he thinks. Bernard calls Juliet in for a meeting, and this is where the mask comes off completely. Bernard isn't just the head of IT. He isn't just the interim mayor. He's the one running everything. Meadows doesn't control Sims, Bernard does. The founders designed the silo so that one person would possess all the knowledge, all the information, all the power to make the hard decisions. And that person is Bernard Holland. He tells Juliet plainly, the needs of the many require the sacrifices of the few. The hard drive threatens the lives of everyone in the silo. She is the greatest threat to their home in 140 years. He even has a name for this arrangement. There's a door in IT with the number 18 on it. Behind it is something called the Vault. Bernard is its keeper. He knows everything, he sees everything, and he decides who lives and who dies. And then he does something unforgivable. He tricks her. During the conversation, he twists her words to make it sound like she said she wants to go outside. Juliet catches it too late. "I'm sorry, Sheriff Nichols, did you just say you want to go outside?" Bernard asks, playing innocent. Sims confirms he heard it. Bernard confirms he heard it. 2 witnesses, that's all the pact requires. Juliet has just been sentenced to clean. She screams that she never said it, that they're setting her up. But it doesn't matter, the system is rigged and Bernard is the one who built the rig. Sims punches her in the face to shut her up. Billings tells him that was uncalled for, but Sims doesn't care, and then something unexpected happens. When Sims grabs Juliet again, Billings, the guy who was supposed to be Sims' eyes and ears, kicks Sims in the legs and gives Juliet a window to run. Juliet bolts. She's now a fugitive in her own silo, sentenced to die on the outside, with the most powerful man in the underground world hunting her down. Down in Mechanical, when word reaches Martha and Shirley and Knox that Juliet has been sentenced to clean, the reaction is fury. Knox always said that the upper level would eventually punish them for the rebellion. Nobody believed him. They believe him now. And the only thing Juliet's got going for her is whatever Holston left in that vent, a network of friends spread across 144 levels who are about to decide which side they're on, and the fact that nobody in this silo knows the stairs better than a girl who's been climbing them since she was 13 years old. Juliet is running for her life. She's still wearing the sheriff's uniform, still carrying the badge, and she's using both to bluff her way past checkpoints and into places Judicial isn't expecting. Sims has every watcher in the silo glued to their screens, agents combing every level, and raiders on standby. But Juliet grew up in this place. She knows the blind spots, she knows where the camera coverage gets spotty, and she knows the trash chute system that runs from top to bottom, an internal ladder hidden inside the wall that nobody thinks about. Back at the Billings household, Paul is falling apart. His hands won't stop shaking. The syndrome is getting worse, and all the herbs and medicine his wife Kath has been giving him aren't working anymore. Kath wants him to go back to Judicial, where the physical requirements are lower. Paul refuses. He didn't claw his way to deputy by hiding who he is just to slink back to a desk. But Kath isn't being cruel, she's being practical. Picture your daughter growing up without you, she tells him. 2 sheriffs are already gone. Neither of them had kids. Paul does. Sims, meanwhile, is methodically working through everyone Juliet might turn to. He visits Pete Nichols in the nursery, tries to appeal to his fatherly instincts. Pete doesn't budge. He tells Sims about the railing on the level 1 balcony, worn smooth by all the people who gripped it before going over. His wife was one of them. Juliet is all he has left. Would you help the people hunting your child? Pete asks. Sims says he would, because no one person is more important than 10,000. Pete looks at him and says he has no idea where she is. It might even be the truth. Juliet pulls off something insane. She sneaks into Robert Sims's own apartment. His wife, Camille, is home with their son, Anthony. Juliet has a weapon, but she doesn't really know how to use it, and she tells Camille she won't hurt them. Camille isn't some helpless housewife. She was a raider for 12 years before transferring to IT. She can handle herself. But Juliet isn't there to fight. She's there to hide in the last place anyone would look. The 2 women have a tense, fascinating standoff in the kitchen. Camille cuffs herself to nothing and refuses to leave her son's line of sight. Juliet accesses a computer while Camille watches, and they talk. Juliet tells Camille about the judicial raiders who broke down her family's door when she was a little girl, how they destroyed her mother's life. Camille says her husband works for the good of the silo. Juliet says Camille has no idea what her husband is responsible for. Before all of this, Juliet sent a message to Lucas Kyle through a porter. Lucas went to her apartment and retrieved something she left for him. Bernard catches wind of it and hauls Lucas in for interrogation. Lucas is scared out of his mind, but he's already in too deep. He's crossed a line he can't uncross. Juliet also reconnected with Patrick Kennedy, who introduces her to a hacker named Danny. Danny is a black market computer guy who can hack into the silo security network and bounce signals to fake locations. Exactly what Juliet needs, because she has the hard drive, and she's finally going to see what's on it. Danny plugs it in and bounces the signal to level 98, so when Bernard traces it, the raiders go to the wrong address. Patrick watches nervously. He spent years trying to crack this device before he sold it to Regina. It was just collecting dust. Then Regina traded it to George, who couldn't crack it either. But Allison Becker could. She was a data recovery specialist, and she got around the directory problem that stopped everyone else. The drive contains thousands and thousands of files, but there's one that matters the most right now, a video.
It's George. He recorded a message for Juliet, a goodbye, just in case he didn't make it, and in it he confesses everything.
He tells her the truth about why he came to Mechanical in the first place. He transferred down there specifically to find someone who knew the lower levels. Someone who could guide him to the hidden door he'd been looking for. He chose Juliet because she was the best engineer down there, the know-it-all as he put it. His plan was to use her for her knowledge and then leave her behind. But then the most annoying thing happened, George says on the video. I fell in love with you. He tells her that he found the door. It's huge, maybe 15 feet high, made of metal, hidden in the flooded depths below Mechanical. The water that terrified Juliet, George says it turned out to be nothing to worry about. He couldn't get through the door alone, but she can't. He also tells her to look for another file on the drive labeled Jane Carmody Cleaning. And then he says it one more time, looking straight into the camera. I love you, Juliet Nichols. She's in tears. The man she thought used her and lied to her loved her enough to record a final message, and then jump off a stairwell to protect her name. They pull it up. Jane Carmody was a woman who was sent out to clean over 200 years ago, long before Holston or Allison, and the footage shows her stepping outside, looking around and reacting with pure joy. She's sobbing. It's so beautiful, she says. The display in the cafeteria, people have to know. They have to see. The display is a lie. The outside world, at least through the visor, looks green and alive. Allison was right all along. Juliet wants everyone to see this. If the whole silo could watch this footage, the conspiracy collapses. Danny says it's possible to link the video feed to every screen in the silo through signal boosters that exist every 30 levels. The lowest one is on level 126, which is deep enough to be out of the heaviest raider coverage. Patrick doesn't want to go. He's already risked enough, but Danny's going to need the drive physically present, and Juliet reminds Patrick that Bernard is going to trace the signal back to his apartment any second now. Patrick looks at the drive, looks at Juliet. F me, he says. They run. Patrick guides them through the silo, using back routes, avoiding checkpoints. On 126, Danny gets to work on the signal booster. He starts linking screens across the silo. For a brief moment, it's actually working. The video is pushing out to displays across multiple levels. People are going to see.
And then Bernard shuts everything down. He orders every watcher to close their eyes. He forces everyone in the surveillance room to turn away from their screens. What you have just seen, you will unsee, he tells them. The feed is killed before it reaches the whole silo.
Deputy Cairns arrives on 126 and arrests Patrick and Danny, but Juliet is gone. She's in the trash chute again, climbing down through the walls. Cairns figures it out and starts dropping heavy objects down the chute to knock her off the ladder. Something clips Juliet and she falls. She lands in Mechanical. Her people, Knox, Hank, Shirley, Martha's workshop, but Knox makes a decision that tears the group apart. He turns Juliet in, not because he wants to, Because if he hides her, Judicial will tear Mechanical apart, and every person in the Down Deep will pay the price. Knox is thinking about the 10,000. Juliet doesn't blame him. He's right, she says. But Shirley is furious. Martha is devastated. Before Judicial takes her away, Juliet gets 1 minute alone with Martha Walker. That's all. 1 minute to say goodbye to the woman who raised her. Martha can barely hold it together. She tells Juliet things she needs to know. And Juliet tells Martha things that need to be done if she doesn't come back. And then Martha, who hasn't left her workshop in 25 years because she's too terrified to step outside her own door, does something extraordinary. After Juliet is taken away, after the door closes and Shirley is fuming and Knox is sitting in guilty silence, Martha forces herself to stand up. She walks to the door, she puts her hand on it, and she pushes through. She's shaking so hard she can barely walk. She's gasping for air. She talks herself through it step by step, whispering, "You're not gonna die, just feels like it. You're all she's got." And she walks. For the first time in a quarter century, Martha Walker leaves the Down Deep. She climbs the stairs. She passes through the levels she hasn't seen since she was a younger woman because she has somewhere she needs to be, and love is stronger than fear. Bernard offers Juliet a deal. If she cooperates and waives her rights to a judicial hearing, he'll show her what happened to George, and he'll spare her friends in Mechanical from the consequences of her actions. Juliet agrees. Bernard takes her to the surveillance room, the hidden room behind the janitorial closet, full of screens, full of watchers. He pulls up the camera footage of George Wilkins on the stairs, and we finally see how George really died. George didn't jump, and Doug Trumbull didn't push him. George was cornered by Trumbull on the stairwell, and he stopped deliberately in front of a camera so there would be a record. Doug told George he'd been ordered to bring him in alive. George knew what that meant. They'd torture him until he gave up the hard drive and names of everyone he worked with. So George chose option 3. He jumped. George Wilkins killed himself rather than betray the people he loved. Juliet watches this in silence. The man she thought was murdered actually chose to die to protect her. Bernard also has a final conversation with Juliet that reveals the full scope of who he is. He tells her that her parents were never supposed to have children. The silo's birth control system should have prevented it. But accidents happen. Juliet's entire existence was an error in the system. He compares himself to an engineer, just like her. She watches gauges and adjusts pressure to prevent explosions. He does the same thing, except instead of a generator, he manages 10,000 human lives. When Allison and George opened that hard drive, the pressure started building. Unless adjustments were made, the whole thing would go boom. "I won't clean," Juliet tells him. Bernard smiles. Nobody intends to, but they always do, as the founders in their wisdom knew they would. Meanwhile, Martha has made it to Supply. She finds Carla, an old friend, and asks her about the heat tape. The good stuff, not the flimsy IT tape that the silo uses for cleaning suits. The real industrial-grade tape that Mechanical uses for the generator. The same tape that Juliet once stole from Supply in a heist that started this whole mess. Martha sends a box of cookies down to Juliet's cell with a note tucked inside. "You wanted the truth? The truth is I love you. Have no fear, they're good in Supply." Juliet reads it and almost misses the point. Then it clicks. They're good in Supply. The tape, the cleaning suit that IT provides to every person sent outside, is sealed with their cheap heat tape. The tape fails. The suit breaches. The air gets in. You die. That's why everyone cleans and then collapses. The suit is designed to kill you. But if someone swapped IT's tape for Supply's tape, the good stuff, the suit wouldn't breach. You'd survive. Juliet's last request before going outside is granted. Paul Billings gets his syndrome exemption and is officially sworn in as sheriff. He's earned it. Bernard tells Billings he should have been the pick from the beginning. When Juliet asks Billings if he regrets it, he says no, he doesn't. Bernard also deals with Lucas. The kid who drew stars in the cafeteria and fell for the wrong woman gets sentenced to 10 years in the mines. No light, no stars, just hauling iron ore underground. Bernard tells him it's a shame because Lucas has so much natural talent, so much intellectual curiosity. He'll see no light in the mines. It's brutally cruel, and it's delivered with the same calm smile Bernard uses for everything. The cleaning ceremony begins. The largest crowd in the silo's history gathers to watch, even larger than Holston's. Bernard reads the ritual words. "We do not know why we are here. We do not know who built the silo. We do not know why everything outside the silo is as it is. We only know that that day is not this day." Juliet's last words to the crowd, "I'm not afraid." She steps through the airlock, and through her visor she sees it. Green, grassy, blue sky, birds, a beautiful world that looks nothing like the gray wasteland on the cafeteria display. The visor is showing her the same light showed Holston. The same light showed every cleaner for over 200 years. A gorgeous fake world designed to make you want to clean the sensor. Designed to make you think the outside is safe and the silo has been lying about the danger. But Juliet knows the display is a lie, she says. She refuses to clean the sensor. She walks right past it. Inside the cafeteria, the crowd goes insane. Nobody has ever refused to clean. Bernard watches, stunned. She knows, someone says. Bernard has no response. Juliet walks past the tree where Holston fell, past the ridge where every cleaner before her collapsed and died. Her suit holds, the tape holds. Martha's tape, supplies tape, the good stuff. Juliet Nichols walks over the hill. She survives. And then the camera pulls back, way back, across a massive dead landscape stretching the ruins of what was once a major city. And dotting that landscape as far as the eye can see are dozens of identical structures. Other silos. This isn't the only one. There's an entire network of them, buried across a destroyed world. And Juliet is the first person to walk between them in over a century. Season 1 is over and absolutely nothing will be the same. Season 2 opens not in Silo 18 where we left off, but in a completely different silo. About 30 to 40 years ago in the neighboring Silo 17, a rebellion broke out, just like the uprising 140 years ago in Juliet's home, except this one actually succeeded. The rebels, led by the sheriff himself, stormed the vault doors while IT scrambled to defend them. There's a young boy named Timmy delivering a message to his father from engineering. His father reads it, tells someone to take Timmy to safety, and then the fighting starts. Bells ring, weapons swing, bodies fall, the rebels win. And then they make the worst decision anyone in the silo has ever made. They open the door, and they go outside. The sky looks clear, the air seems fine, everyone is smiling, stepping out into what looks like freedom. But then dust starts blowing in. The poison that usually kills cleaners in 3 minutes had temporarily dissipated, but it comes back, fast, and every single person who walked outside dies. An entire silo's population wiped out in minutes. The only people left alive is whoever stayed inside. Cut to the present. Juliet Nichols is standing at the entrance of this exact silo, Silo 17. She's just walked over the hill from Silo 18, her suit held together by Martha's good tape from supply. And what greets her is a graveyard. Thousands of bodies, skeletons in the corridors, a dead civilization arranged in the exact same layout as her home. Because every silo is built identically. Same spiral staircase, same 144 levels, same cafeteria, same cameras hidden behind the same mirrors. The only difference is that this one is empty. Well, almost empty. This entire first stretch of Season 2 is almost silent. It's just Juliet alone exploring a dark, flooded, decaying underground city. The generator is dead, so most of the power is gone. She's running out of air in her suit and has to make a decision. She smashes the visor of her helmet open, gasps, and waits to die. She doesn't. The air inside the silo is breathable. The structure is sealed enough to have maintained its own atmosphere even after decades of abandonment. As she explores, the show intercuts with flashbacks of young Juliet's early days in mechanical. We see her first meeting with Shirley on the trash sorting line. We see Walker giving her that broken device to fix, testing her. We see Juliet finding the massive cavern beneath mechanical for the first time. The one with the old digging machine, the one she would later show George. Back in the present, Juliet notices something strange. Down in the depths of the dead silo, the lights in IT are still on. Power. Somewhere in this place, something is still running. She makes her way towards it, but there's a problem. A huge section of the walkway is missing, the gap too wide to jump. She finds bodies hanging from railings by ropes and uses the rope to try to swing across. The rope snaps. Juliet plunges into deep floodwater below, and since she can't swim, she nearly drowns. Again. She drags herself out, screams in frustration, and keeps going because that's what Juliet does. She eventually reaches a locked door. Music is playing on the other side. Lights. Signs of life. She tries to open it, and a man's voice comes from inside, shaky but threatening. You tried to open the door. I get it. You see a closed door. What's on the other side? I understand. Thing is, you do that again, and I'm going to kill you. Back in Silo 18, all hell is breaking loose. The entire population just watched Juliet refuse to clean, walk past the sensor, and disappear over the hill. No one has ever done that before, ever. The cafeteria is in an uproar. Sims scrambles every off-duty raider and watcher, slaps an 8 p.m. emergency curfew on the whole silo, and puts the sheriff's department under his direct command. Down in mechanical, Knox holds a meeting. People are shouting about rebellion, about shutting down the generator to force the upper levels to listen. Knox, the man who turned Juliet in, tries to keep order. He reminds them that they can only shut the silo down once, and after that, Judicial will crush them. But Shirley isn't having it. The crowd isn't having it. A kid from mechanical named Teddy gets caught writing graffiti and is hauled away by raiders. His mother screams as they drag him off. Shirley tells the crowd that they're not going to let mechanical be made an example of. JL graffiti starts appearing on the walls all over the silo. Juliet lives. It spreads like wildfire from the down deep all the way up to the mids. Bernard sees it on his way through the corridors and knows he's got a crisis that speeches alone won't fix. Things get violent. Someone firebombs a checkpoint. A shooting claims 2 lives. The silo is tearing itself apart. Bernard has a document called The Order, a founder's emergency protocol. Basically a playbook for what to do when things go wrong. He's been following it as best he can, but the order wasn't written for this. The founders never imagined a cleaner would walk over the hill and survive. Bernard is in uncharted territory. Bernard needs help, and the only person he trusts enough to ask is Judge Meadows. He goes to her apartment, practically begging. Meadows, who has barely appeared in public for years, isn't interested. She tells Bernard a story about a wizard who nobody ever sees, and when they finally do, he turns out to be a fraud hiding behind cheap tricks. That's what I want, she says. I want to fly away in his hot air balloon. Can you do that for me? Because if you can, I'll help you, but if you can't, f*** off. Meadows is done with the silo. She wants out, not death, freedom. She wants what Juliet had. She wants Bernard to build her a suit with good tape and let her walk over the hill. Bernard agrees. He's that desperate. He starts measuring her for a custom suit right there in the vault, arms first. It's an oddly intimate scene, the most powerful man and the most secretive woman in the silo, alone in the room where all the world's worst secrets are kept, measuring each other in more ways than one. Meadows also reveals something critical about her own history. She didn't just work in judicial. Before that, she was in IT. She was Bernard's shadow, the person being trained to replace him. She and Bernard have known each other for a long time, longer than anyone realizes. Bernard is asking for her advice because nobody else alive has been close enough to the seat of power to understand the situation. When Bernard says the order doesn't cover what happened with Juliet, that the founders never imagined someone would walk over the hill, Meadows tells him to think outside the order. It might be like trying to think of a color you've never seen, but try. Bernard also deals with Billings. He knows about the syndrome now, Sims told him, but instead of punishing Billings, Bernard uses it as leverage. The syndrome exemption keeps Billings loyal and grateful. Billings is officially named acting sheriff, reporting to Sims. He's asked to write a report on Juliet's cleaning, one version of the truth, the official version. Meanwhile, Sims is cleaning up loose ends. Patrick Kennedy and Danny, the hackers who helped Juliet broadcast the hard drive footage, are in judicial detention. Sim visits Patrick and offers him something unexpected, a drug. It can erase memories. A small dose takes away the last few weeks. A bigger dose can take you back years. They've been using it on people who saw Juliet's broadcast too, administering it as anxiety medication. Patrick, who lost his wife Doris because of the entire mess, who was dragged into George's relic ring and then Juliet's escape plan, who has had his life torn apart by the silo secrets, makes a devastating request. Sims tells him they can take him back to before Doris died. Patrick says no. If this drug is real, then I'm gonna go all the way back. I want to go back 22 years, to before I met her, because it's easier that way. He'd rather erase his wife entirely than live with the pain of losing her. Sims agrees to do it, but first, Patrick has to do something for them. Bernard makes a public speech. He doesn't deny what people saw. He can't. Instead, he creates a cover story. He frames Juliet's survival as a technological advancement, a new type of suit material that was successfully tested during her cleaning. It's a brilliant lie, but it gives people a story that's hard to disprove. Bernard even planted hecklers in the crowd to ask specific questions he was prepared to answer. Nothing left to chance. Shirley, Cooper, and a small group from Mechanical start meeting in secret. They're organizing. Hand signals to communicate, recruiting people across levels. Cooper, Juliet's old apprentice from the generator room, shows up and tells them he's in. Not for Knox, for Juliet. Walker joins too. I want to be as clear-headed as I can about this, she says. Something is building in the lower levels. Something Bernard's speeches can't stop. Over in Silo 17, Juliet slowly breaks through to the man behind the door. His name is Solo. Just Solo. Because I'm here all by myself. He's the sole survivor of the rebellion. He's been alone in this dead silo for decades, living off stored food, talking to nobody. He's around 40 or 50 years old now, but he was just a kid when the rebellion happened. Russell, the head of IT, who was his mentor, told him one thing before everything fell apart. Don't ever let anyone into the vault. Solo has been guarding that vault ever since, rarely leaving it for long because he doesn't want it undefended. Solo tells Juliet what happened. There was a cleaner named Ron Tucker who refused to clean, just like she did. Ron wrote lies and dirt on the camera sensor instead of cleaning it, then walked around the corner out of sight. 2 days later, the silo painted over what he'd written on the screen. Nobody saw Ron die, so people started believing maybe it really was safe outside. When the rebels won the war against IT, they opened the doors and everyone walked out. They thought they were free. They weren't. Solo also drops a massive piece of information. There are 50 silos. Not a dozen, not hundreds, 50. And this one is Silo 17. The closest are 15, 16, and 18, which is Juliet's home. It's literally next door. Juliet needs to get back, but she has no suit. Her old one is shredded. The suits in Silo 17 were assembled in a specific room, but the silo is so damaged and flooded that getting there means going underwater, and Juliet still can't swim. She finds the flooded lower sections and realizes she could make it work if she builds a device to pump air down to her while she's submerged. But she can't operate it and swim at the same time. She needs Solo to help her. Solo doesn't want to leave the vault unprotected for that long. He's been guarding it his entire adult life. It's all he knows. He brings Juliet food, talks to her, but he won't commit to helping with something that could take him away from his post for hours. Juliet tries everything. She tells him about the 10,000 people in Silo 18 who are in danger. She tells him that if she can get home, maybe she can stop what happened here from happening there. Solo listens, but he can't do it. "It's my job," he says. Russell told him not to let anyone in. Protecting that vault is the only purpose he's had for as long as he can remember. Juliet walks away. She's on her own. She'll figure it out. She always does. "Wait!" He steps out of the vault. He's shaking. He looks rough, a man who spent his whole adult life in a small space with nobody to talk to. But he's standing in front of her, overwhelmed by how big the corridor feels around him. "You really are here, aren't you?" he said. "Yeah," Juliet tells him. "I am." Back in Silo 18, Bernard is sitting across from Meadows. Having just finished measuring her for her suit, he's agreed to her terms. And during their conversation, Meadows pushes him on something nobody else had dared to ask directly. Did Juliet Nichols say she wanted to go out? Bernard pauses. No. The most powerful man in the silo just admitted to the only person he trusts that he sent Juliet out to die on a lie. Meadows doesn't flinch. She already knew. She understands the kind of decisions Bernard has to make, but hearing him say it out loud, plainly and without justification, tells her exactly where she stands with this man. In Silo 17, Juliet and Solo are settling into an unlikely partnership. Solo is a talker, a big talker. 30 years alone will do that to a person. He tells Juliet about elephants, about circuses, about a book called 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, where people use breathing equipment and a massive underwater ship called the Nautilus to explore the ocean floor. Juliet needs something similar on a much smaller scale. She needs to breathe underwater long enough to reach the flooded lower levels where she's hoping to find firefighter suits. There aren't any cleaning suits left in Silo 17, or at least that's what they think. So firefighter gear is the next best option. She's been trying to jury-rig a breathing tube, but it's not working. Solo, for all his rambling, turns out to be useful. He points Juliet towards a harmonium, a musical instrument with foot-operated bellows that push air through valves. You could use this to push the air down a tube, he says. It's brilliant. Juliet has to take the instrument apart to use the bellows mechanism, but it might be the solution she needs. Meanwhile, Solo has his own story slowly unraveling. Juliet finds a classroom with children's names on the walls. She asks Solo about a girl named Lapis who supposedly sat next to him, but the details don't add up. This was a level B classroom for kids, aged 11 or 12. Solo claims he was the IT shadow, an adult. Why would he be sitting in a children's classroom? Solo deflects. He doesn't like talking about certain things, especially his damaged eye and anything connected to the rebellion. But the cracks in his story are widening. Back in Silo 18, Knox has had enough. He organizes a peaceful delegation to march up and meet Judge Meadows, himself, Shirley, Walker, and McLean, the head of supply. No crowds, no weapons. They send a message ahead laying out exactly what they want to discuss. Knox knows that every step they take upward will be seen as an act of aggression, but he believes talking is better than fighting. They found a wall of names deep in Mechanical, names of people who died in past rebellions, and next to the names, notes, started with the food shortage in the farms, blamed on Mechanical. Every rebellion in the silo's history followed the same pattern. Something goes wrong, Mechanical gets blamed, the silo crushes them. Knox doesn't want to repeat history. Bernard lets them come. He tells Sims they're just two old ladies and two mechanics. They're not going to rush the airlock, but Sims is worried about something else entirely. Judge Meadows has also agreed to hear a petition from Lucas Kyle about his mine sentence. If she lets Lucas go, that's a problem. And Sims has been tracking something Bernard didn't expect. He knows Bernard has been meeting privately with Meadows. Bernard doesn't like that Sims knows this. In fact, Sims has been making moves behind Bernard's back. He orchestrates a campaign to impeach Judge Meadows, whipping up support from upper levels. It's designed to force Bernard's hand to make him choose between Meadows and stability. Bernard sees right through it. I know you were behind it, Rob, but the damage is done. The impeachment push has backed Bernard into a corner. He visits Meadows one final time. They share a meal, wine, meat, and mushrooms. As they talk, Meadows reflects on their complicated history. She was Bernard's shadow for years before she quit 25 years ago. She vanished for 4 days, came back, and resigned. She never told Bernard why. She says she couldn't bear being tethered to him, knowing he could never give himself fully to her. There's something deeply personal between these two, maybe romantic, definitely intense. And underneath it all, Meadows knows something about a letter written by Salvador Quinn, the head of IT during the rebellion 140 years ago. Part of it was written in code. It was on the Relic hard drive. She deciphered it, but she won't tell Bernard what it said. Meadows realizes too late. I know it wasn't in the wine, she says. It was in the mushrooms. She asks Bernard why. He says the impeachment push forced his hand. He has to follow the order, and her death will unite the silo. Before she goes, Bernard does something that might be the most human thing he's ever done. He shows her a device, something like a visor that projects images, real images. He shows her a forest in Costa Rica, monkeys leaping between vines, a red-eyed tree frog, a flock of quetzal birds with twin tail feathers. Meadows watches the world she'll never see, tears in her eyes. "So beautiful," she whispers. "What did they do, Bernard? How did they lose this world?" She dies, and Bernard frames Knox and Shirley for her murder. When the delegation from Mechanical arrives, they walk into Judicial and find Meadows already dead. Before they can process what's happening, Bernard appears at a balcony above a crowd of citizens. "Those animals from Mechanical just killed her," he announces. "She gave her life for the silo. It is now the duty of every citizen to find those murderers and bring them to justice." The crowd erupts. "Justice, justice, justice." Sims is sworn in as the new judge, and the show makes it clear that this isn't a promotion, it's a punishment. Sims overstepped with the impeachment campaign, so Bernard is putting him where he can be controlled. Instead of being Bernard's second-in-command and eventual replacement, Sims is now a figurehead with a title and no real power, a puppet judge. Knox, Shirley, Walker, and McLean are now fugitives. They barely escape the upper levels alive, ducking into stairwells and side corridors while mobs of citizens hunt them down. Bernard has disguised raiders as ordinary citizens, planting them between level 60 and 130 to stir up vigilante justice. There's a bounty on Knox and Shirley's heads, 1,000 credits each, and it works. One of the porters they trusted, a guy named Calvin who Walker knew from the old days, radios their location to Judicial. Walker trades Juliet's old multi-tool, the one she kept all these years, for safe passage from another porter. It's painful. That tool is all that she has left of Jules, but survival comes first. The group has to split up. McLean is injured, and she's slowing them down. She's also the oldest of the group. She tells them to go on without her, and she'll hold this position. Walker argues, but McLean is practical. Nobody above level 125 even knows what Walker looks like, since she hasn't left Mechanical in 25 years. That anonymity is her biggest advantage now. McLean tells Walker that Mechanical is going to need her more than ever. Walker leaves. It's the last time these two will see each other for a while. They were married once, and even though that ended years ago, what they have runs deeper than any legal status. McLean is eventually captured by Judicial. Knox and Shirley use a porter descender rig, basically an illegal-powered winch and cable system that drops them straight down through the central shaft, bypassing the barricade entirely. It's a terrifying ride, no brakes, just a cable and the end of the cable. "How long is the cable?" Shirley asks. "Guess you'll find out," the porter says. They land hard in the down deep and make it back to Mechanical. They're home, but they're still wanted for murder, and the entire silo thinks they killed a judge. Back in Silo 17, Juliet discovers something that rattles Solo to his core. She finds photographs and employee records. The real IT shadow of Silo 17 was a man named Cole Myers, not Solo. When she shows him the photo and says, "That's not you, is it?" Solo completely loses it. "I am Solo. I am the IT shadow. Don't say those words to me." He's screaming, shaking, genuinely terrified. Solo's real name is Jimmy. He's not the IT shadow. He's not Cole Myers. He was a kid who survived the rebellion because he was hidden in the vault, and he's been claiming the IT shadow identity ever since because it's the only role that gave his life purpose. He knows the truth about who he is, but hearing someone else say it out loud threatens to shatter the one thing that's kept him going for 30 years. Juliet backs off. "You're Solo," she says gently. "You're Solo." She doesn't push it again. Shortly after, Juliet gets seriously sick, an infection from a wound on her arm. Solo nurses her back to health using antibiotics he made himself. And while she's recovering, Solo does something sneaky. He hides her suit. When she wakes up and asks for it, Solo tells her that she can have it back after she does him a favor. Fix the groundwater pump on level 30 that's been underwater since the rebellion. If she can get the power to it and stop the water from rising, Solo's home won't be completely submerged in 10 months. Juliet is furious. She has 10,000 people to save. Solo has himself. But Solo frames it differently. "I saved your life, you save mine. Then we'll be even." Juliet doesn't have a choice. She needs that suit. In Silo 18, the screws are tightening on Mechanical. Bernard cuts off food deliveries to the lower levels. Raiders block every supply route, and then someone poisons the remaining food supply with rat poison. Mechanical suspects Bernard, but it also means someone inside the down deep is working for him. A spy. The people are starting to crack. Kids are going hungry. Citizens are demanding Knox and Shirley turn themselves in so the food will flow again. Bernard is playing the long game. He tells his new head of judicial security, Amundsen, that only 9 missed meals separate a functioning society from chaos. He's not trying to starve Mechanical into submission overnight. He's trying to turn them against each other from the inside. Knox addresses Mechanical directly. He and Shirley swear on their lives they didn't kill Meadows. They found her already dead. They were framed by Bernard and Sims. Shirley gives a speech that cuts right through the panic. "Maybe you want me to go out there too. You could do that, but then in a couple of days, you'll see us all out there on that hill, fallen. You'll have your food deliveries though. You'll have Bernard patting your head saying, 'Good job. Now get back to work.' Is that gonna feel like winning?" It works. Mechanical holds together, and then packages start dropping down the trash chute from sympathetic levels above.
Notes attached. To our friends in mechanical. Thanks for always keeping the power on. From your friends on 122. Juliet lives. It's not enough to feed everyone forever, but it proves they're not alone. The silo is fracturing, and not everyone is on Bernard's side. Billings is caught in the middle of all of it. He's still sheriff, still trying to do his job by the book. He finds Patrick hiding in the lower levels. Patrick tells Billings things about what's really going on, and Billings shows him a photograph from Juliet's apartment, showing the outside world. It's the first time Patrick has seen anything like it. Billings is starting to understand the scope of the lies. Billings finds Knox and Shirley. He listens to their side of the story. Walker collaborates it. And then Billings does something that nobody expected. He radios Bernard directly and tells him he's located the fugitives, but won't reveal their location until a full investigation into Meadows' death is opened. Bernard's response? Disable all radio communications in the silo now. He cuts Billings off mid-sentence. The sheriff just went rogue, and the mayor just pulled the plug. Billings looks at Kath afterwards and says, I don't stand with the mayor or the judge, or you. I stand with the law. And then something remarkable happens. Kath notices Paul's hands. They've stopped shaking. He hasn't taken his herbal medicine in days because he's been too busy, and the syndrome symptoms have actually improved. Neither of them knows what to make of this. One more piece falls into place. Bernard pulls Lucas Kyle out of the mines and tasks him with deciphering Salvador Quinn's coded letter from the hard drive. It's the same drive that started this whole mess back in Season 1. Bernard recognizes Lucas's talents and decides it's more useful cracking code than hauling ore. Lucas figures out that Quinn spelled silo wrong on purpose, a clue that the cipher is more complex than a simple letter substitution. And one iteration reveals Allie, the name of Quinn's daughter. He's getting close, but to crack it fully, he needs access to something called the Legacy. Bernard makes a decision that changes everything. He elects Lucas as his new shadow. The stargazer from the cafeteria is now the second most powerful person in the silo, and he's only just begun to understand what that means. There's also a moment between Pete Nichols and Walker that needs mentioning. Pete crosses the barricade into mechanical to deliver a baby, brought through by Kath Billings, who bluffs the raiders by threatening them with the pact violation about denying life-saving healthcare. Once Pete is down there, he visits Walker. He thanks her for taking care of Juliet all those years, and then he asks the question everyone in mechanical is afraid to ask. Is Juliet still alive? Walker tells him the truth. No. She doesn't think Juliet survived. She switched the tape not because she thought it would save her. She did it so that Juliet wouldn't die on that hillside in front of everyone who loved her. She did it so they wouldn't have to watch. Pete takes this in silence, and Walker, for the first time, admits to someone other than herself that the hope she gave everyone, the Juliet Lives movement she helped spark, might be built on something that she doesn't actually believe. Lucas Kyle steps into the Legacy for the first time, and his jaw hits the floor. The vault beneath the IT department contains the entire sum of human history. There's a physical storage for items and books lining the walls, and a digital pad that holds all of the books in electronic form. Art, science, everything that was erased from the silo 140 years ago and more is sitting right here, locked behind a door that only 2 people have access to. But Bernard didn't bring Lucas here for browsing. He needs Quinn's code broken, because whatever Salvador Quinn hid in that coded letter 140 years ago, Bernard suspects it's more dangerous than the rebellion happening right now. Lucas digs in. He discovers it's a book cipher. Each number in Quinn's code corresponds to a word on a specific page of a specific book, but the book isn't in the Legacy. Quinn deliberately used a relic, a book out in the silo, so the code could be solved by someone willing to look outside the vault. Lucas tracks down Quinn's descendants, a family of wool makers who spent 140 years trying to live down the shame of being related to the man they were told almost destroyed the silo. They make the cleaning suit wool, 4 generations of penance for a crime their ancestor didn't commit. The old man, Terrence, wants nothing to do with IT or the Quinn name, but when Lucas threatens a judicial search, Terrence's grandson Brandon caves. Before this, Bernard sits Lucas down and tells him the real history. Salvador Quinn didn't fail during the rebellion. He saved the silo. Before Quinn, rebellions happened every 20 years or so. Each one risked the airlock being opened and everyone dying, just like what happened in Silo 17. Quinn realizes that part of the problem was that people remembered the previous rebellions. They passed down stories, grievances, tactics. So he came up with a radical solution: sever the silo from its history entirely. He cut off access to the servers, confiscated the books, and blamed the rebels for destroying everything. Then he put a chemical compound in the water supply to gradually erase people's memories over weeks and months and years. The consequence? 140 years of peace, until Juliet Nichols came along. Bernard is sharing all of this because he needs Lucas to understand the stakes. The coded letter isn't a puzzle to be cracked for fun. Whatever Quinn wrote in that cipher was important enough to encrypt, important enough to leave behind for whoever came next. And Bernard has already told Lucas something else that's been weighing on him. There are more silos.
Not just Silo 17. Bernard knows about the network. He's known for a long time. The question is, what Quinn knew that Bernard doesn't. Over in Silo 17, things go sideways fast. Juliet dives underwater to fix the pump, using a power washer rig to send air down a tube. It's terrifying. Solo is on the surface operating the equipment, warning her about decompression sickness. If you come up too fast, all these bubbles start building up in your joints. It can make you really sick. It can even kill you. Juliet does the dive. She makes it to the pump, gets the power cord connected, and signals Solo to turn it on. But when she surfaces, Solo is gone. And then when she finally finds him, someone has shot him with an arrow. Juliet negotiates. She tells them she'll get them into the vault if they let Solo go. But she doesn't know the code. The survivors give her a deadline: get the vault open before the baby cries again from hunger, or they kill Solo. The young girl, Eater, helps Juliet search Russell's old apartment for clues to the vault's code. Eater's story is heartbreaking. Her parents are dead. The adults who took care of her after that are dead too. She was always just another mouth to feed. That's why they call her Eater. It's all she is to them. Juliet understands this more than anyone. She was the girl who ran away from home at 13 because nobody was taking care of her. Juliet finds what she needs, not the code itself, but a secondary apartment address for Russell. And in that apartment, she finds the IT's head emergency suit, the one Solo never told her about. There was always a second suit. Solo could have let her leave any time. He kept her here partly because he was terrified of being alone again, and partly because he genuinely needed her to help with the pump. Without it fixed, the rising water would eventually drown everything left in Silo 17, including him. Juliet gets the survivors into the vault. There's food, there's ice cream, there's music, all these things that the kids have never heard of before. Eater's face when she sees all the food is one of the most emotional moments in the entire show. She spent her whole life being defined by her hunger, named for it, shamed for it, and now she's standing in a room full of more food than she's ever seen. For a brief, beautiful moment, everyone is okay. Solo gives Juliet her suit back, and he admits there was always a second suit, the head of IT's emergency suit for an airlock breach. Juliet is furious. She could have left days ago, but she also knows Solo needed the pump fixed to survive, and she wouldn't have met the survivors or found the vault code without staying, so she let it go. She's leaving. She's going home. Before she goes, she tells Solo that his silo had a camera in the cleaning helmets. When Holston and Allison went out to clean in Silo 18, their helmets showed them a fake green world, but Solo tells her something she didn't know. The camera in her own cleaning helmet was transmitting back to Silo 18, and when it stopped working, she was still alive. Meaning Bernard knows she survived. At least, he knew she was alive when the feed cut out. Back in Silo 18, everything is fracturing. Mechanical shoots a homemade explosive up the stairwell, not to hurt anyone, but to send a message. During the brief blackout, the power stayed on in IT while the rest of the silo went dark. The message to the citizens was clear: IT lies to us. Bernard scrambles to cover it up, claiming Mechanical left IT powered on purpose to frame his department. He announces that Billings has been taken hostage by the rebels, which is a lie. Billings chose his side willingly. Knox discovers who's been feeding information to Bernard. It's Teddy's mother, Mav. She poisoned the food supply and planted a fake kill order against Knox and Shirley to turn Mechanical against itself. But she didn't do it out of malice. Her mother is in medical above the blockade, and Bernard's people threatened to cut off her medication. Mav was just trying to keep her mother alive. Knox handles it with grace. No execution, no mines, just community accountability. We're gonna give you some tough jobs, remind you who you are, and we'll make sure your mom is okay. But there's a second spy, and this one is devastating: Walker. Bernard lured Walker above the blockade on a fake pump maintenance call. She went willingly, thinking it was legitimate. When she got there, she was taken to see McLean. What she found destroyed her. Carla is alive, but drugged into a catatonic state. Slumped in a chair, eyes open, but seeing nothing. Unable to hear or respond. Bernard's deal is simple. Walker turns the camera in her apartment back on, stays in her workshop, and reports everything she sees and hears. In return, McLean stays alive. If Walker refuses or breaks the deal, McLean gets worse. Walker has no choice. She agrees. The woman who overcame her fear to save Juliet is now a prisoner in her own home, spying on the people she loves most. When she gets back to Mechanical, Shirley asks if she saw something above the blockade. Walker lies. Raiders on every level, armed to the teeth, that's it. It's the first time she's ever lied to her people, and it's eating her alive. Billings, meanwhile, has been investigating on his own. He finds Patrick in the lower levels. Patrick tells Billings things about what's really going on, about the hard drive, about what Juliet was trying to show everyone. And Billings has the children's travel booklet, The Amazing Adventures in Georgia Guide, with real photographs of the outside world. He shows it to Kath. They sit together staring at pictures of trees, sky, people, animals, things that should be ordinary but feel impossible. What happened, Paul? Kath asks. He doesn't have an answer, but every day he holds onto this booklet. Every day he looks at those photographs, the world he thought he understood shrinks a little more. Billings makes a speech to Knox and Shirley in Mechanical.
After Holston died, they came to me about taking over as sheriff. I thought they saw a leader in me. Now I know they saw someone they could count on to fall in line. But they misjudged me. I have a lot of questions, and I'm not willing to leave them unanswered anymore. It's the first time Billings has openly declared himself against the upper levels. The guy who was planted as Sim's puppet has become one of the rebellion's most important allies. Knox decides to use the remaining gunpowder from supply. Whatever plan he's cooking up, it involves changing the game entirely. They can't win a siege. They can't outlast Bernard's resources. They need to do something nobody expects. Knox has been studying the wall of rebellion names down in Mechanical. Every uprising before theirs followed the same playbook and got the same result. If he uses the same tactics, he'll get the same ending, so he won't. And deep beneath the silo, Lucas follows Salvador Quinn's decoded instructions to their final destination. He convinces Shirley to come with him into the flooded depths below Mechanical, the same area where George found the massive metal door. Lucas tells Shirley that George's tunnel has to be down there, and there have to be hidden pumps keeping the water from filling the entire cavern. Shirley thinks he's crazy, but she goes. They wade into the darkness together.
Lucas follows the directions alone from there. He finds a hidden door. Behind it, it's something that nobody alive was supposed to know about. A voice speaks to him by name.
Before you, only 3 people have reached this door: Salvador Quinn, Mary Meadows, and George Wilkins. I did not speak with Wilkins. Quinn and Meadows were both given the same directive: you will now receive. The voice warns Lucas. If he speaks to anyone about this conversation or what he's seen, they will initiate the safeguard. Lucas says he knows what the safeguard is. This is what Judge Meadows found 25 years ago. This is why she quit as Bernard's shadow, why she disappeared for 4 days, why she could never tell Bernard the truth. This is what George Wilkins died trying to reach. George found the door, but the voice didn't speak to him. It spoke to Quinn, it spoke to Meadows, and now it's speaking to Lucas Kyle, the kid who used to draw stars in the cafeteria, who is standing face to face with whatever has been controlling the silos from the very beginning.
In Silo 17, Juliet is getting ready to leave, but Jimmy takes her to his parents' old apartment. It's the IT head's living quarters, the place where his father, mother, and him lived before the rebellion. Jimmy hasn't been in here since the day his mother didn't come back. He stands in the doorway, looking at the spot where she made him eat his lunch like it was a normal day, the last normal day he ever had. "I got so old," he said quietly. "It's been so long." While they're searching the apartment, Jimmy starts remembering. His parents whispered about something called the safeguard procedure. It's a failsafe built into every silo, a mechanism that can kill everyone inside. 10,000 people wiped out. Jimmy's parents figured out how to stop it. Whatever they did, it worked. The people of Silo 17 didn't die from the safeguard. They died because they chose to walk outside into poisoned air. But the safeguard itself was blocked, capped, shut down. And if Juliet can learn how they did it, she might be able to save her own silo. Jimmy remembers more. The safeguard is a pipe. A physical pipe that runs from the outside of the silo, carrying enough poison to kill every person inside. His parents found it and capped it. They trace it on a map of the silo. The pipe enters on level 14. Jimmy's mom worked on level 14. It can't be a coincidence. Jimmy's memories come in fragments. He remembers his father putting him in the vault when the rebellion started. He remembers explosions, gunshots. Then the sheriff brings his dad back, but his mom wasn't there. His dad told the sheriff that it wasn't safe to go outside, but the sheriff wanted the truth. And his dad told him the truth, and that's when everyone walked out. They thought it was safe. But whatever Jimmy's parents did with the pipe, it had nothing to do with the outside air. The pipe is the safeguard, a kill switch controlled by whoever is running the silos. Blocking it stopped the founders from being able to poison the silo from the inside. But the toxic atmosphere outside, that was still there, and everyone who walked out died in it. But the pipe is the real threat for Silo 18. If whoever controls the silos decides to activate the safeguard, they can pump poison directly inside. No going outside required. Everyone dies in their beds. Juliet tells Jimmy she has to go now. She suits up using the new suit that she created with spare parts from the firefighters and the good tape around the wrists. Jimmy tested the seal by submerging himself underwater with it. If the water didn't get in, the poison air won't either. It's crude, but it worked. He gives it to Juliet so she can make the walk back. He keeps the IT head's suit for himself. The goodbye between Juliet and Jimmy is quiet and painful. She tells Eater, who finally reveals her real name, Hope, that she'll be okay. Hope is strong, smart, capable. And Juliet tells Jimmy she doesn't know what's going to happen when she walks outside. So she won't lie and promise she's coming back. But nothing's going to stop me from trying, she says. She steps into the airlock, the door seals, she walks out into the wasteland. Back in Silo 18, Knox is done waiting. He announces his plan to the inner circle, and it's terrifying. He'll lead a team to storm the barricade. Shirley follows with a second wave. But winning at the barricade isn't the goal. The goal is to hold the raiders off for at least 3 hours, because 3 hours is how long it takes to rig the generator to explode. The room goes silent. "You're gonna blow up the generator?" someone asks. Knox doesn't blink. "If we don't get what we want." The threat is clear. Give us the truth or we'll all go down together. But here's the thing. Knox is bluffing. They were never actually going to destroy the generator. The gunpowder rolling through the hallways is real. The timeline is real. But the endgame is leverage, not suicide. Knox wants Bernard to believe he's willing to kill everyone in the silo, because only that kind of pressure will force the truth out. What do you want? Someone asks. I want to know the truth, Knox says. They won't give it to us. Not unless they have to. Bernard catches wind of the plan through Walker's camera and sends every raider he has to storm the barricade and secure the generator room. Knox launches his assault. Mechanical charges the barricade with gunpowder explosions, clearing the path. Raiders fight back hard. It's chaos on the stairs, bodies on both sides, people screaming. On the cafeteria display, a figure appears on the hillside, walking towards the silo. The crowd goes silent. Then someone says it. Is that? And then, it's gotta be. And then the whole silo says it. She lives! Juliet lives! Juliet Nichols is coming home. While all hell is breaking loose, Lucas finds Sims and tells him something chilling. The key fob number 18 isn't lighting up anymore. Not because the crisis is over, because it's over. Not the rebellion, something bigger. Lucas can't explain what he learned from the door, but he tells Sims to go to the vault, see the legacy while there's still time. Sims and Camille face their own reckoning. They delivered Billings' message to the sheriff's department in the upper levels. If Bernard finds out, he'll send them out to clean with their son watching. That'll be the most generous punishment he offers. Sims doesn't answer when Camille asks if they chose the wrong side. Instead, he tells Camille it's time. They need to get into the vault. He'll get Anthony. In the vault below IT, Sims speaks to the voice behind the hidden door. My name is Robert Sims, husband to Camille, father of Anthony. The voice asks why he's here. I want to save the silo. The voice tells Camille she can stay, but Sims and Anthony must leave. Whatever deal was just made with the voice inside the legacy, Camille is now part of it, and Sims is not. Bernard, the man who has controlled everything for decades, finally breaks. He puts on a cleaning suit, takes a gun, and walks into the airlock. He never makes it outside. He just stands there in the airlock, suited up, holding a weapon, staring at the door to the outside world. Juliet finds him there. She's walked all the way back from Silo 17, and when she enters the airlock from the outside, why are you here, Juliet asks. I just want to go outside, feel free for one moment of my life, Bernard says. The gun is for the end, if the pain gets too much. Bernard tells her there's no point in what she's trying to do. It was never in your hands, my hands, anyone's hands. They can kill us at any time they want. Because of the poison they can pump in, Juliet asks. Bernard looks at her. You know about that? They both know about the safeguard. Bernard calls it an innocuous little term that means they can kill us at any time they want. Everything he's done, every person he's sacrificed, every lie he's told, and it never mattered. They could kill everyone in Silo 18 with the push of a button. No, Juliet says. Maybe not. She's figured something out about the pipe, level 14. Jimmy's parents capped it in Silo 17. The airlock door is closing after Bernard left. Juliet goes in. Bernard tries to stop her. You can't go in there. You'll burn to death. But as he's trying to hold her back, the door closes behind them both. The burners ignite. They're both trapped inside. Juliet Nichols and Bernard Holland, the two people who've been at war with each other since the moment she pinned on that badge, are trapped together in a burning airlock. Whether they live or die, we don't know, because that's the end of their journey for this season. But the show's not over yet. And then the show does something nobody expected. It cuts away from the silo entirely. We're now in the before times, the world that existed before whatever destroyed everything and forced humanity underground. Two people are sitting at a restaurant, a young congressman from Georgia's 15th district and a reporter from the Washington Post. They're flirting. It feels like a first date more than an interview. They talk about a dirty bomb attack on the United States, possibly by Iran. The congressman deflects, the reporter presses. Somebody is hiding the truth about what happened and what the government plans to do about it. It's the first time in the entire show that we've seen the world before the silos, before the 144 levels, before the spiral staircase, the cleaning suits, and the cafeteria display. People living above ground, drinking coffee, arguing about politics, not knowing that everything they take for granted is about to end. The congressman hands the reporter a gift he bought from a convenience store, something from his home state of Georgia. We don't know exactly how this connects to the silo, not yet, but we know these are the seeds, the dirty bomb, the government secrets, the lies, the people who will eventually decide that humanity's best chance of survival is burying 51 silos carrying 10,000 people each underground, drugging their water and erasing their history. And that's Silo. Both seasons, every episode, a story about a woman who fixed machines and broke systems, who started at the bottom of a 144-level underground prison and ended up walking across a dead world to find answers that nobody wanted her to find, who was betrayed by the people who ran her home, abandoned by the system that was supposed to protect her, and still, every single time she got knocked down, she got back up, because that's what engineers do. They fix things. This show asks a question that gets more uncomfortable the longer you sit with it.
If the truth will destroy everything, do people still deserve to know it? Bernard would say no, Juliet might say yes, and the show never fully picks a side because both of them are right and both of them are wrong. That tension is what makes Silo one of the best sci-fi shows out right now. If you made it all the way through this, you're a legend. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and drop a comment letting me know which moment in the show hit you the hardest. Was it Martha walking out of her workshop for the first time in 25 years? George's goodbye video? Bernard showing Meadows the Costa Rica footage after poisoning her? I want to hear it. Season 3 is coming, very soon, and there's still so much we don't know. Who built the silos? What's the full story behind the safeguard? What did the voice behind the hidden door actually tell Lucas? What deal did Camille just make? And can Juliet find the pipe on level 14 and cap it before whoever is watching from the outside decides that Silo 18 has become too much trouble to keep alive? Let alone, will Juliet and Bernard survive the flame room? Check out our other full series recaps if you enjoyed this one. Links in the description. Until next time, stay curious, and whatever you do, don't drink the water.